Josie Laver lives on the land in the Hilltops region of New South Wales, and she has recently released her impressive debut album, Ride This Lullaby, and I really wanted to talk to her about it, so we're going to talk about it. Hi, Josie.
Hi, Sophie.
It's great to meet you, and I'm semi-obsessed with the album. So I wanted to ask you how you created it. This morning I was actually driving into the sunrise, and I had the album on, and I just thought, wow, this is like a really like a perfect road album, but at the same time it's an intense mix of experiences and feelings. So at one level it's got that cruisy kind of vibe to it, but the lyrics and the way you're singing them offer another layer of listening if people want it. I'm wondering what your intention was for the album when you started creating it, if you had one.
Well, I remember when I left Academy in and by the way, thanks for listening. I'm glad you like it and you're enjoying it. Yeah, that makes me really happy hearing that. When I left Academy, Senior Academy at Tamworth in 2016, I think, I just sort of felt like I was very green and I had lived a lot of life, but I hadn't sort of experienced a lot of romance, I suppose, and just a bit more life. So I sort of just hung out for a bit and I waited until I did go through some like epic experiences with exes and unfortunately, like, you know, some abusive situations and stuff. And then that sort of made for the better writing, a bit more depth and a bit more age to me. And that's sort of what I wanted to bring out. I wanted to bring out a romantic side in me that I have. I'm an Aries, so I'm very fierce and fiery with love, and sometimes I think people take that the wrong way. And I just wanted the songs to represent that, I suppose. So yeah, it's a funny mix.
Yeah, but I guess it's, you know, it's not an intention we hear stated very often, romanticism in songs, but of course, you know, there's a whole romantic period in art from centuries ago, and it was a capital R romantic, and it wasn't necessarily about a romantic relationship. But I do feel there's an inclination to think that romance is a bit uncool, but yet so many songs are about love. It's just often, if you listen to the lyrics, they're about a more manipulative form of love than romantic.
Yes. Oh God, we've all been there. I know. It's and I think that's what Tangled was about. When the lyrics kind of came out with that song, I had originally written it not about a manipulative thing, like it was about my parents, and that was inspiration from John Prine's song In Spite of Ourselves. I kind of like had that swing from that song, and like that's how Tangled sort of came out. And then the guy I co-wrote it with, Matt Jogow, he kind of, I'd say to everyone, he kind of turned it into a dirty love song. So, and it kind of was representative to, you know, an experience I'd had with the guy. And so it really, like, some songs are made up, you know, with people, they just sort of come from the sky. And but a lot of my songs have a lot of stuff behind them, but at the same time I do sometimes listen to them and just switch off and enjoy the music that we all created. Yeah, and it is highly enjoyable. There's a couple of things I want to go back to out of what you said, so I'll be slightly out of order, but first up is the Academy, going to the Academy in 2016. So you said you were a bit green at the time, but you obviously were at a certain stage to go, because you can't just rock up to the Academy as a complete newcomer. No. So the backstory of that was I had gotten home. I was probably home for 2 years maybe, and I was like, you know, being out here does have its lonely factors, and I'd sold the horses. I'd had injuries from riding. I was a pretty serious horse rider. People were kind of like, how do you do so many things? And I was like, look, I didn't really have a normal life. I was on the road with horses, and I never had that social teenage party kind of life. And that's the life I led, and I was so determined. I wanted to go to the Olympics, and then, you know, that ended, and I didn't really see that coming as a like 17, 18-year-old. And then I literally sold all my gear. I just had this snap decision, and I sold it all, and I went to the guitar shop and I bought a Gibson Hummingbird, and then I bought my Gretsch Chet Atkins, and yeah, some pretty nice guitars, but I had money from the horses that I'd sold, and I'd always known to work, I guess, as a young kid, and then I applied for Academy, and I was so shy, like I couldn't sing in front of anyone. I was nervous. I had to go and record a song to get into Academy because they wouldn't accept like a home video and whatever. And then the only reason why I got in was Kevin Bennett, I think. Like, I think the panel thought I was too green, which I was, but KB, because of my musical influence and my taste and the artist I was into, is like, no, this girl's got something. So I feel like I have him to thank, and Carl Brody, for me like continuing on, because they sort of had faith in me, and I crumbled. Like when I got to Academy, I was so nervous I couldn't sing in front of anyone. Everyone felt sorry for me, I think. And then obviously in that 2-week period, like the likes of Lynn Botel, and she still mentors me today, they just all built my confidence, and then I walked away from that wanting to go out and sing. So I became a cover artist, as I didn't feel confident in my songwriting, and I just obviously didn't work on it. And then, like, as life happened, a lot more feelings just had to get pushed out of me. And that's how those songs, and I feel like as I grow more, the better the songs will be, hopefully. Yeah.
So at the point at which you sold your horses and your gear and bought those 2 excellent guitars, had you had any musical training at all to that point?
Oh yeah, before the horses, I actually was right into music. I was into dressing up. I was like, love singing Casey Chambers. And what was the other song I was singing? 1,000 Miles. That song, Vanessa, what's her name? Anyway. But those, making my way downtown.
No, that's so good. No, I think you put us to last name. I'm stuck on it as well. Anyway, it'll come to us later.
And that song and Casey Chambers. So I was 7 or 8. My singing teacher at the time, Laurel Nosworthy, she put a band together for me, and I sung at the end of year school presentation. Just 100 people in the hall. I don't know how I did it, but I had this big long fur coat, and I think my sisters used to do my makeup, and I was really into the music before the horses, and and I learnt basic guitar. I tell everyone, Mum bought me this Yamaha, that big sort of Yamaha, big-bodied guitar, and it was bigger than me, basically. So I learnt all the basic chords off the next door neighbour. She was musical PA, and so she also helped me, and Laurel taught me a tiny bit of piano, but again, I'm self-taught with that. And because I was so rusty coming back into that from the horses, I pulled out the Yamaha guitar before I bought any other guitars, and I broke all the strings. I was like, doing, and broke all the strings. And I went over to my local music shop in Young, Michael, and he always is there to help me. So he helped me like restring it and showed me the way a bit. And I just used to sit in my room and practice at home. Because I was that different sort of person, I really, and I still don't fit in with that ag crowd, like the farmers. Even though I'm on a farm and working, I don't like socialize with them a lot. And sometimes people don't know how to take me because I've got that arty kind of flair. So smaller towns and communities find me a bit weird. But a lot of people at the same time do embrace me and do find inspiration behind me, and they look to that. But so I used to sit in my room a lot because I was still by then a nerd, and I wouldn't go to parties and didn't know anything about boys because I had spent so much time focused on horses into all my teens. And then like I was even shy. I couldn't even sing in front of my own parents. It was so funny. Like, I don't know if there's a more bashful person than that.
Right.
But
Clearly,
it eventually had to come out. Yeah.
well, yeah, or you find a vehicle for it. And my next question is going to be about Matt Joe Gal, but I just want to make the observation that when you ride as much as you do, the horse is a collaborator, right? Like if the two of you are in it together, and you have to be really intuitive about your relationship with the horse. Because I remember someone who wrote a lot once saying to me, "You're literally sitting on their spine." So they are. That's why they're so sensitive to what the rider's doing. And when I was told that, I thought, wow, like, if someone was sitting on my back, I'd be feeling that as well. So
you'd be like feeling everything. Yeah.
So that intense relationship you have with horses to be able to do events, or whether you're an eventer or a show jumper, whatever you were doing, it's a lot. It's very physical and it's collaborative, as I said, which then leads me to talk about Matt Joe Gal, who is your collaborator. Matt may not appreciate being compared to a horse, but
that's all right.
But I was just thinking as you were talking about writing, and then I thought, well, you've collaborated with him on this album. He's co-written some of it. He's produced it. So that's a strong relationship. So how did you come to work with him?
So so the album was co-produced with him and another guy called Andrew Pollock, and I think they've always worked closely together. It was really strange how it happened. We met via like correspondence, online, and I'd planned to meet him at a South Coast gig that he had, but everything kind of got called off because of COVID. And then I don't know, I think he probably needed it because he was in lockdown in an apartment in Melbourne, and I was here, and so I guess like he kind of utilized me in that way, and then I utilized him in that way, and we also had similar tastes, and we sort of like met like to like in the middle, I suppose, and we wrote, and we had similar kind of interests, and so did Andrew Pollock, and I think that's the only reason why they took me on, is because they liked my sound and they liked what I wrote. I think Tangled was the first song I sent them, and they were like, wow, that's like really strong song like you got there, and well, the lyrics were strong, but melodically I was still really green, and I suppose I still am with arranging them. So some he wrote more in others, and others he just simply like helped me arrange them, I suppose. And yeah, it was a really strong, intense like working relationship that we had, and especially being online, and like it was all email, and because I was so shy about sending him songs as well, I used to send him a song and then run out the door and be like, oh god, he's gonna like fucking hate it or whatever. And some were rubbish and some were good. I think Sugar Coated Lies, originally it didn't make it on there straight away. He's like, yeah, it's all right, but then he came back to it and he's like, actually it's like pretty good, and I was like, oh okay. And two songs on there are his, Time to Heal and Love Me Still, because I had more material, but like it was all kind of a bit rushed. It wasn't, when I look at other people producing albums, they do take a fair bit more time, and I think like we were pushing it to get it all kind of rocking and rolling out of lockdown kind of thing. So in hindsight, I probably would have spent more time on the album, but I think it's a very short and sweet kind of 10 songs, and it gives you a good like punchy flavor. And I did say to him, like with Dandelion White, I was like, I want it Fleetwood Mac vibes kind of thing, and that's what like we all gave basically. And there was a lot of like pre-pro studio work, and we do that via correspondence, and so I worked hard before, and it was all kind of, when I look at it, it's like shit, like that was like we pulled that off. And,
out of lockdown.
And and I went down there in November, so we did all that from it was from like July to November 2021, and then I went down there November 2021. I'd never driven in Melbourne before, never gone down there, so it was all a bit like holy shit. and and then what else happened? Oh, I had antibiotics. I was suffering from really bad sinusitis, and like a week and a bit out, and I ran into the doctors and I was like, I'm losing my voice and I've got to record in a week, like, you know, holy dooly, like I don't know if I can do this. And so I was on antibiotics, and when we were recording, and I took vodka into the studio because I was nervous again. I was like, oh, you know, I was so nervous doing it. And you know, Andy was good, like he was, you know, it's like, it's okay, I just calm down. But yeah, we did it in like two half days, I think. Yeah, and we like knocked it all out, and or we might have done one more song earlier in the year, and then yeah, we just sort of got it on the road. Tangled was the first one. We sort of thought, well, we're sacrificing a good song as the first because I'm absolutely nobody. So, but it was a very good song to kind of put out there first, we thought. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, did you think you thought of it that way, sacrificing it? Because like as you're releasing it, because you thought that the first single might go nowhere and not be heard.
Yeah, I think so. But just because I have absolutely no traction in the world, and I was this new person, and we decided on, I think we were deciding on Tangled or Dandelion White, but I think we'd all thought that Tangled was a bit like, ooh, you know, like, who's she? Like, what's this song? That kind of thing. And that's the sort of reaction that we wanted.
Well, that's the reaction I had when I heard it, because I remember thinking, oh, this is really interesting.
Ew. So, yeah, it's good.
Oh, well, yes. So you've mentioned Casey Chambers, John Prine, Fleetwood Mac as some influences. Are your musical influences now different to what they were, say, when you bought those guitars?
Look, I still have admiration for those people. I still love their music, and I always will. But I do think I am changing with where I want to go. I'll still have the country flair, but I've got a lot of like soul kind of in me, and it's almost like a Chris Stapleton kind of a vibe, and I really want that to come out in my next album. You know, I really want to get punchy with that, and explore that kind of sound as well. So I think, yeah, and I've got lots of artists I like. It's like Nora Jones, Eva Cassidy were some of my, like, you know, favorites. Bonnie Raitt, who's another one I've been listening, like Chris Isaak, Linda Ronstadt, and even like Coco Taylor. She's another one I listen to. So there's all sorts of like real soul bluesy kind of artists that I really love and admire. And I think my voice, like, I'd be honoring my voice if I kind of went that way a bit more and tried to like show more of my range and work on that, I reckon. Yeah.
So it's interesting going from, you know, when you went to the academy and feeling like you couldn't sing in front of people, you now obviously developing quite a sense of what your voice is.
Yeah. And it's I know where I want to be. You know, I recently met a chick called Queenie, and I saw her at Tamworth, and she's this amazing redhead like artist. She's this amazing huge voice, and when she performs, everyone's just like eyes on her and glued to her, and she's just owns the whole stage and really owns it with her voice, and I think that that's the place where I want to go, rather than hiding behind a guitar forever. I'd love to kind of, you know, be that, you know, real punchy, like, whoa, you know, showstopper, I guess. But also, yeah, kind of explore and just keep building, I guess.
And meanwhile, the guitar can be, you know, the vehicle to help you get to that point. I guess if you're comfortable with a guitar, then that's how to do it.
Yeah, definitely. And I've taken on harmonica lately too, so that's kind of quite funny. And I love it. I'll just keep playing it. And they're like, wow, is that new? My cousins came to see me last night perform at the Yas Bar in Yas. And they were like, have you been doing that long? And I was like, oh, no, not really. I just picked it up and I love playing it. Yeah.
So do you play a few shows locally?
Yeah. I did Cowra on Friday night, and then I did Yas Bar just last night. So I'll do some cover gigs, and that helps cover costs of other things as well as my other job on the farm. So I'm trying to get money together just to do the CDs, and I've gone in it in such an like weird fashion. Like, I know you're not meant to like release the CDs like 4 months after the release date, but it's just how it happened, and just life happens sometimes. And so that, and I've got some band gigs coming up in Sydney in April. I'll release the date soon. And Melbourne, I've got one down there. So that's exciting for me because I've never played. I played with a band once at Academy, and when I was younger, but I'm going to be quite nervous stepping into a band with these songs, but at the same time I know I'm going to have a lot of fun, but it'll cost me. So the cover gigs cost like pay for all that, I suppose.
Yeah, right. So is the band drawn from people in the local areas? I'm thinking of the ease of rehearsing mainly.
No, I don't know enough people around here that would probably be into my songs. So they're actually people that I've met through Tamworth, and who are in the industry and playing for good people, good country artists, and stuff like that. Melbourne-based, Sydney-based. Sydney is CK in the 45s, so I'm excited to play with them. And I met them through Aretha, Mother Hen Touring at Tamworth. I'm thankful for her and what she's done for me so far, because it's been really good networking in that way. Because when I get back out here, like, there's no one to network with and jam with. So so that's that. And then Melbourne, I know a few people down there, which is good. So so hopefully it'll pull off.
Because logistically it is a challenge when you live on the land and you're not near a major city. But talking about being on the land, you do have demanding work. I mean, working on a property it's full on, it's exhausting, it's very long hours. But I'm wondering if that exhaustion actually creates a vacuum which creativity can fill, if that makes sense. So like your working day is just so not music. It's very, very present in what you're doing. You can't take your eye off animals, for example.
No.
You had on your social media recently, there have been lightning strikes and fires around where you are. So there's a lot that's going on. So do you find when you get home, like, it's just music is a bit of a balance to that, I guess?
It is, yeah. It's definitely taken over my life, and people are like, so what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, well, I've got all these emails to send and this to do and that to do. And so I do get home and sometimes I'm buggered and I'm like, oh, I just need to lay down. But it definitely helps me switch off from the farm, and it's given me like a purpose, I suppose. And the farm, does give me a purpose, but in terms of trying to get together with people and collaborations and stuff, music has definitely always seems to save me, or it comes back to haunt me. Like, but in a good way. I just think that I was talking to a person and they were like, oh, music chooses you. And I was like, yeah, because, this happened, that happened, and it just came back, and it came back again. They're like, yeah, well, you can't hide from it. You've got to own it and do it. And I enjoyed it. It's good. I think it's good healing work for me. Writing, so you're blowing off steam. You're writing, you're creating, you're singing, and sometimes I hope it heals other people, like my voice, and I think it may, because I see people out at a venue and they're all a bit like anxious, and then when they leave they're nice and calm. Sleepy sometimes. So
that's rewarding. It must be so rewarding when that happens.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it, and I think that's why I do it. So it's good.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I had you talking for a
It's-
while. Just realized you probably had a strenuous day already. I'm excited to
No,
hear.
just washing. I've just been catching up on washing. Mum and I were saying when you go to a fire, your house looks like a bomb's hit it because you just leave everything as it is and everything's a mess and you're in and out and you're busy and you're not sleeping and so I was literally just doing washing today and getting bored out of my brains. But I was like, I must do this or I won't get it done.
Yeah. Well, it's good to wash the clothes. It's good to wash the smell of smoke out of the clothes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to hear you coming to Sydney, which is great. And hopefully the dates will be on your social media and website soon.
Yeah,
for those
they
gigs.
will be. I'm just getting it all together, and I'll like release the dates probably in the next week, I reckon, in a poster because we're already in March almost, aren't we? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way about the year. But in the meantime, people can listen to Ride This Lullaby. It's a really great album. As I said, when I first heard Tangled, I thought, oh, this is different. It's interesting. It's compelling. And then each single you released has been different to that one, but also compelling. So it's a great collection of songs.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Great to talk to you.
I know everyone can hear it across anything. There's so many different streaming places you can go. I've lost track of, there's like Tidal and Amazon and SoundCloud and but the main ones are Spotify and Apple, to me anyway. And there's Vivo. I've got my Vivo channel. I've got 5 videos up there now that I created with the album. Yeah, I think we're going to try and premiere Honeymoon video again. I kind of went about that in an odd fashion where I released a single and I had no video, but I've got the video, but it's all uploaded so you can have a little Josie watching time and and watch all the videos. I love them all, so yeah.
And honestly, I think these days it seems to be quite common to release a video quite a bit after the single. So I think you're absolutely fine there.
I'm okay.
Yeah. Well, Josie, yes, people can go and watch you. They can listen to you, and the album is Ride This Lullaby. And it was great to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sophie.
Thanks.